Considering how much we rely on technology these days, it's nice to look back at a time when we still appreciated something as simple as those three little words. You've got mail. It was written by Nora Ephron and her sister Delia Ephron, but it was based on a 1937 play by Miklos Laszlos called Parfumerie, or Parfumerie, depending on your pronunciation. Laszlo's play was actually the inspiration for several movies, including The Shop Around the Corner, which is referenced in this film as the name of the actual bookstore Kathleen Kelly owns. This movie was released in 1998 and was #1 at the box office. However, it's declined in popularity over the years, earning only 6.6 stars on IMDb and a 69% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It stars Meg Ryan and Tom Hanks, reunited from their fame of Sleepless in Seattle and Joe versus the Volcano. The movie co-stars Greg Kinnear, Parker Posey, Gene Stapleton, Steve Zahn, Heather Burns, Dave Chappelle, Dabney Coleman, and it was John Randolph's final film. Another recognizable face would be Sarah Ramirez, who plays the cashier in a very short but memorable scene.
Happy Thanksgiving back.
We follow our protagonist, Kathleen Kelly, who has inherited her dear departed, community-beloved mother's antique children's bookstore. A chain bookstore, Fox Books, happens to be opening up around the corner from her store, threatening her store's existence. Actually, you can kind of say that Fox Books is also a family business. They just did it better. The opener of this particular bookstore, sort of the heir to Fox Books, Joe Fox, meets Kathleen Kelly online. Before they know who each other are in real life, before the store's even opening, they've already started communicating anonymously. Of course, once these two meet in real life, they hate each other because they don't know that they have this online friendship. So on multiple occasions, they meet and fight, though when they go home, they're falling in love online. Joe does finally discover that Kathleen is his mystery woman. He knows that he put her out of business, which is a terrible thing that he's done to her. He does try to make amends and try to fix things because he wants there to be a future there before he finally lets her in on a little secret. This movie came out when people were still excited about email. Now email is just spam, bills, or related to work. These days we lean more on DMs and social media, text messages, and don't you dare send too many of those or somebody might throw their phone against a wall. The only upside is that sometimes we get to choose the tones for the messages we receive. Currently, I'm using Bob's Burgers.
Oh my God.
Meg Ryan actually got her first computer while filming this movie. 1998, though, that was probably when a lot of us got our first family computers, and you were only allowed to use it for like an hour a day because you couldn't tie up the phone line. This movie even uses the product placement of these computers to further the dichotomy between the two main characters. Joe, the corporate businessman, uses a PC, which was the leading selling product at the time. Kathleen Kelly, the more sympathetic and creative creature, uses a Mac. These characters were basically the movie product placement of John Hodgman and Justin Long before John Hodgman and Justin Long were a thing. What did I like about this movie? This is a rom-com genre movie that's supposed to be wholesome and heartwarming. You're not supposed to think too much about it. It's just supposed to make you feel good. The characters, for the most part, seem like real people, which makes them easier to watch and follow along with, especially in a short amount of time that they shove a very complicated story into. At the time, the most ludicrous part of the story might have actually been that Joe's aunt is 30-ish years younger than him. But in today's world, we're seeing families of all shapes and sizes, so it's not actually that strange. Their situation just seems to be some sort of quirky side story and handy device to introduce Joe to Kathleen when he brings children to a children's bookstore. It could also be just a jab at old rich white men who just remarry over and over again. I also like the fact that some of these problems are really relatable, like not being able to think of a witty comeback until hours after you've had a conversation. The amount of regret. Just what didn't I like about this movie? Both main characters are in serious romantic relationships while developing their romantic relationship, even though it's anonymous and even though it's online. I'm not trying to wholly refute the idea that you can fall in love with someone when you're in a current relationship or situation, partnership, whatever you want to call it. But both of these main characters say that they're in love with the other person at the beginning of the movie. Kathleen says she's practically living with Frank. And while that's just a minor flaw, I suppose, in the writing of this story, because they do break up with their significant others before enacting in any actual physical relationship, it's not believable that they were with these other people in the first place. Frank is very self-involved, and Patricia even more so. So it's really easy to swallow when they end up leaving or getting left by our main protagonists. In the end, I think it's harder for me to watch people get slapped together who are so clearly wrong for each other. I also didn't like the fact that Joe lies to Kathleen a lot. He finds out who she is before she finds out who he is, and he uses that to his advantage to fix the situation. It's for the sake of the story and adds to the mystery of who could it be, but add that on top of the fact that he destroys her mother's shop and it just seems manipulative. Obviously, Kathleen has more to cling to with the emails she got sent before we were even introduced to the story, so she knows how open and honest Joe can be. Maybe that's why she forgives him so easily. Or we only have 152 minutes to put two characters together, so we have to suspend reality just a little bit. Or maybe that's just why the audience can forgive him so easily. Or maybe it's because he's Tom Hanks. So what's the moral of the story? Is it too punny to say don't judge a book by its cover? 2, both characters react to first impressions when they meet each other face to face. In the end, there's so much more than that. Joe is so much more than corporate takeovers, and Kathleen is so much more than just familial memories. One of the things that's very lucky is that Kathleen can find a career change after she does close her mother's shop. And now to the drinking game. Drink anytime The Godfather is referenced.
Go to the mattresses.
Leave the gun, take the canola.
Drink anytime Frank shows up.
How you doing, Frank Navasky?
I do realize I could have said Frank or Patricia, but Frank adds more to the story, whereas I feel like Patricia could easily be lifted out and the story would still make sense. That being said, you can make an argument that Joe being with Patricia could be a cause for some of his behavior because you tend to pick up qualities of the people that you surround yourself with. Drink anytime there's a voiceover or narration, like when somebody's reading their email aloud.
If only you could help.
Drink whenever Kathleen's mother is discussed.
Enchanting. Your mother was enchanting.
Drink whenever Brinkley is shown. We're a dog-friendly channel. And that's the You've Got Mail drinking game. I hope you enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe, and let me know if you have any ideas for future drinking games that I should do. Still haven't totally picked a sign-off yet, but I guess I should just test one of them out. 1, 2, 3, finish your drink.